Just when you thought Blake Lively's legal battle with Justin Baldoni couldn't get any more explosive, Hollywood itself has entered the chat, and it's not on her side. In a jaw-dropping twist that no one saw coming, legendary actor and industry icon Robert Redford has broken his silence, and he's siding with Baldoni. That one moment changed everything. What started as a behind-the-scenes legal scuffle has now escalated into a full-blown moral showdown, with Hollywood power players, fans, and the media all picking sides. Lively's silence is growing louder by the day, while Baldoni's quiet strength is resonating across an industry fed up with silence, secrets, and spin. This isn't just another celebrity feud, it's a battle over reputation, truth, and the future of power and entertainment. Redford's support is more than symbolic, it's a warning shot, and it's triggered a ripple effect that could leave Blake's empire in ruins. In this deep dive breakdown, we unravel the shocking new developments, dissect the public fallout, and explore how one Hollywood legend's choice may have just turned the tide in a war that's far from over. This is the twist that changes everything. The courtroom drama between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni has already shaken the foundations of Hollywood, but now things have taken a turn that no one expected. A Hollywood legend, someone with decades of respect and credibility, has now come forward and taken a clear stand, and it's not in Blake's favor. The news has ricocheted across entertainment newsrooms and fan forums alike. Social media is in overdrive. Supporters of Baldoni see this as a moment of validation, while defenders of Lively are left scrambling for explanations. The air is thick with tension, and the stakes, both legal and reputational, have just skyrocketed. Let's rewind a bit and set the stage for this bombshell. Blake Lively, once considered one of the most beloved figures in Hollywood's upper echelon, has been locked in a messy, high-stakes legal battle with actor and director Justin Baldoni. The lawsuit has ranged from allegations of behind-the-scenes manipulation to whispered accusations about contracts, defamation, and the misuse of legal power. What started as a private dispute over a creative project quickly spiraled into a full-blown public feud, complete with leaked text messages, conflicting testimonies, and unexpected court motions. But just when it seemed like things couldn't get any more volatile, an unexpected voice entered the chat. That voice belongs to none other than Oscar-winning actor and Hollywood icon Robert Redford. Yes, that Robert Redford, known for his decades-long contributions to film, social justice, and environmental activism. Redford is not someone who often enters the tabloid fray, but when he does speak, people listen. So why would a legend like Redford, often removed from the back and forth of celebrity gossip and courtroom drama, choose to weigh in? And why has he aligned himself, however cautiously, with Justin Baldoni? Sources close to the situation say it all started with an open letter published by Baldoni on a well-known entertainment platform. In the letter, Baldoni opened up about the emotional and professional toll the case had taken on him, particularly highlighting what he described as a dangerous pattern of weaponizing legal tools to silence dissenting voices without naming Lively directly. Baldoni made it clear he felt targeted for standing up for something he believed in, a creative vision, an ethical boundary, or perhaps a personal truth that someone else didn't want aired. Within hours of the letter going viral, Robert Redford issued a rare public statement, saying, "I've worked with a lot of passionate, courageous people in this industry, and I've seen what happens when someone tries to stand up against the machinery. I support those who speak truth even when it's uncomfortable." The comment may have been vague in wording, but in context the message was crystal clear. Redford was standing with Baldoni not just as an actor or director, but as someone willing to challenge a system that often punishes honesty. And the moment that statement hit the press, everything changed. Suddenly, headlines weren't just about legal motions and deposition dates, they were about legacy, about power, about the culture of silence in elite Hollywood circles. The narrative had shifted. Fans began re-examining everything. Clips of Redford and Baldoni speaking at a past Sundance event resurfaced. A once-forgotten interview from 5 years ago in which Redford praised Baldoni's integrity was reposted across social platforms. People started connecting dots. But for Blake Lively, the pressure is only intensifying. Already facing public backlash from prior court developments, including that now infamous motion to seal discovery records and the viral leak of internal emails, this latest endorsement for Baldoni feels like a blow that could fundamentally shift how her side of the story is perceived. PR experts agree it's a nightmare scenario. When someone like Redford steps in, one crisis consultant told Variety, it becomes much more than a legal case. It's now about public morality. It's about who's telling the truth and who the public believes. And for Blake, that's a dangerous battlefield. Of course, her team has not stayed silent. Within hours of Redford's comments, a representative from Lively's legal circle issued a carefully worded response saying Ms. Lively remains focused on the facts of the case and trusts that the judicial process will address these matters fairly. While public figures may express their opinions, the courtroom, not the press, is where justice is decided. It was a strategic move, neutral in tone but firm in its message. Blake wasn't going to engage in a war of public opinion, at least not directly. Still, the damage may already be done. The court of public opinion moves fast, and right now it's clearly swinging in Baldoni's favor. Reddit threads analyzing Redford's statement have gone viral. TikTok creators are stitching together Baldoni's letter with footage from his films, drawing parallels between his on-screen characters and his real-life situation. Even Lively's own fan base seems divided, with some questioning her team's aggressive legal tactics and wondering aloud whether things could have been handled differently. And here's where it gets even more dramatic. Insiders are now whispering that more big names may be about to step forward. According to a well-placed source within the entertainment industry, at least two other prominent Hollywood figures are preparing to issue statements, both in quiet support of Baldoni. They've been watching everything, the source claimed. And now that someone like Redford has broken the seal, others feel emboldened to do the same. They're tired of watching silence win. That's a chilling sentence. They're tired of watching silence win. And perhaps that's the theme of this whole ordeal. Beneath the headlines and the social media posts, this case seems to represent something deeper, a reckoning within the industry. A moment when reputations, friendships, and alliances are being tested, not just in courtrooms, but in the hearts and minds of the public. For Justin Baldoni, it's validation. For Blake Lively, it's a moment of reckoning. And for Hollywood, it's a turning point. As the next court hearing approaches, all eyes are on the docket. But even more eyes are on the people watching from the sidelines. Because in a city built on image, who you stand with may matter just as much as what you say, and right now Blake Lively is standing alone. The impact of Robert Redford's subtle but unmistakable support for Justin Baldoni sent shockwaves through the entertainment world, and while the statement was only a few lines, its aftershocks were anything but minor. Within hours, major entertainment publications picked up the story. From Variety and Deadline to The Hollywood Reporter and Entertainment Tonight, the headlines were impossible to ignore. Redford's steps in Hollywood icon weighs in on Lively, Baldoni legal feud, Robert Redford's subtle nod to Baldoni sparks industry reaction, legend picks aside what Redford's comment could mean for Blake Lively's case. The coverage didn't stop there. News outlets weren't just reporting the quote. They were analyzing it, dissecting every word, every pause, and every implied meaning. Commentators noted the careful phrasing, the deliberate neutrality, and yet the unmistakable moral compass embedded in the message. And this is where it became clear that this wasn't just a Hollywood sideshow anymore. This was a seismic shift in how power, influence, and truth were being negotiated in the public eye. The timing couldn't have been worse for Blake Lively. Just days prior, her legal team had filed a request to exclude certain digital communications from Discovery. That move was already drawing suspicion from legal analysts and online sleuths who believed it was an attempt to conceal potentially damaging information. The Redford development only compounded the scrutiny. Now a growing chorus of voices, online fans, creators, and journalists alike, were demanding transparency. Hashtags like #release the text and #what is Blake hiding began trending across social media platforms. Even more damning was the sudden flood of commentary from individuals who had previously worked with Lively. One anonymous writer who had been attached to a project that reportedly fell apart due to creative differences posted a long thread on X, writing, "When people with real moral authority start to speak out, you begin to realize how many have stayed quiet for too long. It's never just about one case. It's about the pattern behind the scenes." That tweet gained over 1 million views in less than 24 hours and was reshared by dozens of prominent media figures. Meanwhile, Justin Baldoni's team remained measured but firm. They didn't gloat. They didn't issue any new public comments. Instead, they let the public momentum speak for itself. But behind-the-scenes, sources say Baldoni is preparing a comprehensive legal response to Lively's latest court filings, one that could include sworn declarations from notable industry names. And while no names have been officially disclosed, the buzz around who else might align with Baldoni is growing louder by the hour. Rumors have surfaced that Laura Dern, who has worked closely with Baldoni on past projects and has been an outspoken advocate for ethical storytelling in Hollywood, may be ready to release a statement of support. Likewise, insiders claim that America Ferrera, a longtime collaborator and fellow advocate for social justice, has privately told friends she fully supports Justin's integrity and transparency if even one of these names goes public. It could tip the scale in a dramatic way. As the media storm continues to swell, Blake Lively's public relations team finds itself in a delicate position. They've largely remained silent apart from the official legal filings, but internally multiple sources describe an environment of panic. One PR insider familiar with the situation noted this is a nightmare scenario when the legal narrative spins into a public morality debate it's almost impossible to control. You can't outlaw your public opinion, and you definitely can't silence a Hollywood legend without it backfiring. And that's precisely what's happening. While the legal framework of the case continues to play out motions, counters, depositions, and deadlines, the public opinion arena has become a full-blown battlefield. And in that battlefield, perception is power. It doesn't help that clips of Lively from red carpets and interviews once charming now being reanalyzed through a more critical lens are resurfacing online. Some of these clips show moments where she appeared dismissive or controlling in interactions. And while such behavior might have once passed as quirky or harmless in the current context, viewers are reading them differently. Fair or not, it's happening. Hollywood thrives on image, and right now the image of Blake Lively is facing an existential crisis. Meanwhile, Justin Baldoni is experiencing the opposite. He's being embraced as the quiet hero, the soft-spoken creative fighting a much bigger system. He's being labeled brave, measured, honest descriptions that carry enormous weight in an industry often accused of being disingenuous. It's not that Baldoni is perfect. Critics have pointed to his past projects and questioned whether he's playing the underdog card too effectively. But in contrast to Lively's calculated silence and procedural legal maneuvers, his openness, especially in that now viral open letter, has created a stark dichotomy. And in a time when audiences crave authenticity more than polish, that dichotomy matters. But here's the real twist: it's not just public opinion that's changing. There are indications that the court of law may start to shift as well. One legal analyst speaking on a popular legal podcast explained that Redford's statement, while not legal evidence, could still have indirect ramifications. We've seen time and time again that public sentiment can affect everything, from jury perception to settlement negotiations. If a public figure becomes too polarizing, their case becomes riskier to defend. In short, Blake Lively may find herself isolated not just socially, but legally as well. Already speculation has emerged that her legal team may consider settlement options if the media pressure continues to mount. But would Baldoni even be open to that? Would he accept a settlement after taking such a public stand? That's a critical question, and one that could determine whether this case escalates or disappears. Quietly adding to the complexity is the potential for depositions from third parties, especially those who might have first-hand knowledge of the events leading up to the lawsuit. If any of these individuals have since shifted their loyalties, or if they now feel empowered to speak freely due to Redford's statement, Blake Lively could find herself facing witness testimony that's far more damaging than anticipated. And let's not forget the optics. Imagine a courtroom where Baldoni sits quietly supported by a small group of allies, while Lively's side appears increasingly alone, their narrative unraveling under the weight of public perception. That image, however symbolic, could be enough to sway the tone of the proceedings. But perhaps the most telling sign of where things are headed is the silence from Blake's closest Hollywood allies. Where are the usual defenders? Where is the tight-knit celebrity circle that once rallied behind her? Apart from a few vague Instagram likes and some muted reposts, the silence is deafening. And in Hollywood, silence speaks volumes. One entertainment journalist put it bluntly: if you're not posting, you're protesting. It's an old saying in the industry, and right now it may be Lively's biggest obstacle. With every passing day, the conversation becomes less about evidence and more about ethics, less about legal contracts and more about cultural accountability. And as we've seen in so many high-profile cases in recent years, that shift can be a turning point. We've entered a new phase of this legal saga, one where reputations are tested, not by what's said in a courtroom, but by who dares to say something outside of it. And so far, only one side is winning that battle: the silence from Blake Lively's inner circle is beginning to feel like its own kind of statement. In an industry that thrives on alliances, friendships, and mutual protection, the lack of vocal support for Lively is not just unusual, it's jarring. This isn't a minor PR hiccup. This is a public unraveling of a carefully cultivated persona. And it's happening while Justin Baldoni's side is gaining traction both legally and culturally. Hollywood has always had its whisper networks, those informal channels of chatter, warnings, and reputational red flags passed quietly among insiders. And right now, the whispers about Blake Lively are growing louder. Insiders at top agencies and studios have started leaking murmurs to entertainment journalists and commentators, comments like "people are afraid to be seen backing her," There's more going on than just this one case. This feels like a pattern finally catching up to her. These off-the-record whispers are often the first signs that a tide is turning. Executives don't want to be caught aligning themselves with someone whose public standing is in freefall. That means fewer offers, less protection, more exposure. And in Blake Lively's case, the effects are already becoming visible. Multiple sources have confirmed that at least one major brand partnership, previously in early negotiations with Lively, has quietly pulled out of talks. Another source revealed that a potential streaming deal for a new series she was producing is now on hold indefinitely. This is the cost of falling out of favor in Hollywood, not in the courts, but in the court of perception. Meanwhile, Justin Baldoni continues to play the long game. He stayed largely off social media since publishing his now iconic open letter. His legal team has been consistent, concise, and calm, submitting filings with carefully chosen language and avoiding inflammatory rhetoric. This strategy has not only reinforced his image as the grounded party in the dispute, but it has also allowed others, fans, journalists, and celebrities to carry the torch of commentary on his behalf. And they are doing exactly that. Late night talk shows, gossip podcasts, and YouTube commentary channels are flooded with new segments analyzing the case. Some lean into the drama, others focus on the deeper implications of power and accountability in Hollywood, but all of them are treating Baldoni as a sympathetic figure in a rapidly escalating storm. Legal experts have also begun weighing in more frequently. On a recent panel hosted by Legal View Live, 3 attorneys dissected Blake Lively's current legal posture. One of the attorneys, a former federal prosecutor, said, "If I were advising her team, I'd be telling them to consider every option, including early settlement. The longer this drags out, the more discovery becomes a risk, especially with people changing allegiances publicly." Another added, "Once you lose control of the narrative, especially when it's tied to ethics and values, it becomes incredibly difficult to repair. This isn't just about law, it's about trust." That sentiment seems to echo the feeling sweeping through Hollywood itself. More than just a legal battle, this is now about who people believe has the moral upper hand, and right now that advantage belongs to Baldoni. There's also been a noticeable uptick in chatter about possible third-party subpoenas. People connected to both Baldoni and Lively who may be called to give depositions or turn over relevant communications. Industry insiders speculate that directors, former collaborators, and even assistants could be looped into the legal process in the coming weeks. And here's where it gets truly precarious for Lively. What if those individuals don't stay loyal? Once someone like Robert Redford publicly expresses support for Baldoni, it gives cover for others to do the same. It sets a precedent, and sources say multiple individuals who previously stayed silent are now considering coming forward, whether in court through legal declarations or publicly on social platforms. We're talking about people who were behind the scenes, assistants, former producers, agents, people who may have seen emails, text messages, or meetings that offer critical insight into what happened behind closed doors. Already, two anonymous tips allegedly from former team members have been sent to journalists, claiming they have knowledge of ethical red flags in the lead up to the lawsuit. These tips haven't been verified yet, but journalists are digging, and the implication is clear. More stories may be coming. And then there's the fans. Fans have become one of the most unpredictable but powerful forces in modern celebrity culture, and in this case, they are choosing sides aggressively. Lively's social media accounts, once filled with praise and heart emojis, are now flooded with comments demanding answers. Many ask for transparency. Some call her out for staying silent, while Baldoni is being applauded for his openness. On TikTok, creators are producing detailed explainers about the timeline of the case, analyzing court documents and dissecting public statements. One video even showed a split screen comparing Lively's lack of public comment to Baldoni's heartfelt letter overlaid with dramatic music and the caption, "Who's telling the truth?" That video has over 10 million views, and this isn't just public curiosity, it's shifting influence. Baldoni has gained hundreds of thousands of new followers in the past 2 weeks alone. His past projects like Clouds and 5 Feet Apart are being rewatched and reevaluated by fans who now see them through the lens of his real-life values. He's being framed as a symbol of integrity in an industry many perceive as lacking it. Meanwhile, Blake's carefully built image, charming, witty elite, is starting to fray. Some of her past interviews are being re-examined, with clips going viral for the wrong reasons. In one old segment, she jokes about always being the smartest person in the room, something that once came off as playful but is now being used as evidence of alleged ego or arrogance. These are small moments, but in the viral age they can snowball fast. And it's not just about public commentary, it's about business. Producers who had once eyed Lively as a future collaborator are now said to be reconsidering One anonymous exec told Deadline there's a difference between a messy headline and a reputation problem. And this is starting to look like a reputation problem. It's the kind of behind-the-scenes shift that can't be undone with a single press release. It requires a total image overhaul or a major legal win, and right now neither seems likely. But perhaps the most fascinating part of all this is how it reflects a larger shift in Hollywood itself. This isn't the first time we've seen a celebrity caught in a legal and moral whirlwind, but this case feels like part of a broader trend, one where audiences, fellow artists, and the industry itself are less willing to turn a blind eye. We are in an era where people want to know what you stand for. They want transparency. They want honesty. And when they sense that someone is hiding something or worse, using the system to suppress the truth, they turn fast. Justin Baldoni understood that from the beginning. Whether through strategy or instinct, he chose vulnerability, and it's paying off. Blake Lively, on the other hand, is facing the consequences of silence in an age where silence can be deafening. As the case barrels forward, the stakes grow by the day, not just for Lively and Baldoni, but for the fabric of celebrity accountability itself. This isn't just about who wins in court, it's about who Hollywood believes is worth believing. And in that battle, the verdict is already being written. Blake Lively's legal war with Justin Baldoni has now become more than a courtroom dispute. It's a full-blown cultural moment, with Hollywood legend Robert Redford stepping forward in subtle but clear support of Baldoni. The scales of public opinion have tilted dramatically. What once looked like a private disagreement between two respected figures has morphed into a deeply symbolic battle over integrity, transparency, and power in the entertainment industry. Baldoni, through his vulnerability and clarity, has positioned himself as the honest party, someone willing to take on the system no matter the cost. Lively, once untouchable in Hollywood's elite circle, is now facing reputational challenges, unlike anything she's dealt with before. The silence of her peers, the rising tide of fan scrutiny, and the whispers within the industry all signal that this is not just a temporary setback. It's a potential turning point. More than anything, this saga reveals the shifting landscape of modern celebrity culture. Audiences no longer accept polished PR statements and controlled narratives. They want substance, they want authenticity, and when they don't get it, they push back hard. The real verdict here may not come from a judge or jury, but from the public itself. In an era where perception is power and silence can be as loud as a scream, Blake Lively's next move will be the most important of her career. As the legal proceedings continue and more voices step forward, one thing is certain: this story isn't over, not even close, and in the shadows of Hollywood's biggest stages, everyone is watching and choosing sides.